Hi everyone, my name is Poore, for those of you who don't know me. And today we are going to be learning about basic brass etching. So brass etching is a really simple technique wherein you clean a piece of brass, mask it so that certain parts will be etched and certain parts won't be etched. You give it an acid bath, and then you rinse the acid away and you see what you get. There are many different ways to mask brass. The most common, the two most common that I've seen, and the only two that I do, are using laser jet toner and Sharpie. Both work as resist, and both can be worked jointly or in combination. Today we're going to be using Sharpie because I didn't ask you all to print out artwork. However, while you're coloring, I will describe that secondary method, which is also in my tutorial online at Poore.com. But today we're going to be using Sharpies. Sharpies will act as a resist. What that means is that whenever you draw onto the metal, anything that is resisted, everything that is black, is going to be raised, and everything that is not resisted is going to be etched away. So, when you draw with the Sharpie, know that that is going to be up, and what is not filled in is going to be down. Does anyone have any questions on what I'm saying? Excellent. So, I'm going to go ahead and, yes.
So it would be possible to draw something in one of two ways. You could draw the thing that you wanted to draw, or you could draw negative. It just depends on which way you wanted to etch in.
Correct. Now, you're already probably thinking about what it is you want to put on your disc, and that's awesome. Good job. I must tell you, at this point, that I realized I left my brass polish at home. There are two different ways that I've found to finish a piece of etching. The first is to polish it so that you have a shiny top and a shiny bottom, or to patina it, which is when you spray an industrial chemical which instantly ages the metal and makes it darker. At which point the lower part will be dark and the upper part will be bright. Now, you'll have your choice in going through this class whether you want to take your metal home without a patina and just polish it at home and have it be shiny, or whether you want to use the patina that I have here, which there's only a little bit left, there should be enough for everyone here, to darken your lower edge. So while you're designing, go ahead and consider that now, and then when we get to the point that everything has been etched, I'll let you make your decision then. Everyone understand? Excellent. So, first thing that we need to do is to prep the brass. Now, brass, whenever you purchase it, this isn't, but you'll sometimes find that the brass that you receive has a lacquer on it, or some other sort of covering which needs to be removed so that the etchings can get into the brass. Acetone, nail polish remover, is what I chiefly use. Available anywhere and really easy to use. So, with your first pad, I'm going to start it down at this end. It's going to go all the way around and back to me. Take a pad, dab it, and then choose which side of the disc that you want and clean that off, wipe it down. Now, when you're working with a piece of metal that has been pre-lacquered, you're going to find that it's going to wipe away like it's sheets of plastic coming off of the brass. If you see that starting to occur, continue to scrub, because that means that there is lacquer there and it will need to go over there and do it. At which point you're probably going to do 2 or 3 passes of acetone.
Well, I have to wait and see if there are any...
Acetone is also useful to remove the resist, which we're going to be using. So you're going to go ahead and keep one of your pads set aside. Also use the one that you're currently using to wipe the acetone away. So save the pad that you're currently using.
Any newcomers? Please come to the back tables.
No, it shouldn't be a problem. Just go ahead and put the pad face up once you're done with it. This is a quick and dirty class.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Can you please hand me?
Medieval corner.
I'm here for pro weapons.
Alright. The next item to use is going to be rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl rubbing alcohol will get anything clean at any time. The brass can never be too clean. So, once you're done wiping down with acetone, you're going to take your secondary pad, you can pass this around again, and wipe the same side down with rubbing alcohol, making sure that you're getting rid of all the little bits of detritus, cotton, what have you. If necessary, take a clean pad and wipe it down once you've wiped it down with alcohol, just to make sure that you've wiped everything away.
I wish I could do that.
And after we have our brass clean, we're going to pass around the Sharpies. Actually, the Sharpies right in front of the table. And you're going to block one.
black enough? Well, I printed out whatever was on the website.
No, I mean take your advice.
Sharpie doesn't actually have to be black. Any color of Sharpie will do. In fact, the best, I know, I'm using it as a teaching word. Any color of Sharpie should work, and people who use multiple different colors and trying to find what works have found that the red Sharpie pen works better than anything else as far as the pen. As long as it's a permanent marker, there are a couple of different items that Sharpie puts out. That is a pen, it's a permanent marker, so that's not going to work. In fact, I've used that exact model, and it does not work. These are permanent markers, and I have both fine and rough. So you have the not so fine that you can get.
We're at Poppy. I think it was at Vandenberg. I'm not sure.
Right. So, exactly. So, you can see here, this is the a piece of patinaed brass, and when this was drawn, the stuff that's currently gold was black, and the stuff that is currently black was gold. It's a reverse. So, you would draw the crosses and the edge, and then you would etch it. Yes?
How well does this work on bronze?
I have never tried it on bronze. I would. The next step that I'm going to be playing around with is etching with nickel silver. The ferric chloride that I use. Huh? Now you're drawing. So draw whatever you will. Yes, same process for copper. For anything that has copper in it, which is why I'm going to be trying nickel silver next and bronze. It should also work. The etchant that we're using is ferric chloride. It is an acid. It is not something that you want to drink. No, you generally do not want to use drink any of the liquids that we're using. So while everybody's drawing, I'm going to step away real quick and go get a piece of artwork, and I'm going to continue talking to you while you don't pay attention.
If you'll stop by
Okay, so what your guys are currently using are Sharpies, which are done freehand. For those of us who aren't artists but have access to Photoshop, there is a secondary way of doing the art transfer, and that's by printing with a LaserJet printer onto glossy paper, which is what I've done here. You design your artwork so that it's clean black and white. There's no shades of gray or other colors in here. It's clean black and white. You would then print it at 300 dpi onto a piece of glossy paper in reverse. Put it face down onto the metal, iron it using an iron and what I use a pyrography tool to get details. And then soak the piece in water to remove the paper, rub it away, and then touch up the artwork with Sharpie to make sure that you get it. When it's large swaths of black, like you see here, you will want to touch up the Sharpie using this method, because while the edges seem to take really, really well using this method, the larger fields need to be touched up. So, see, I never have. I want to eventually, but I just found that this works really well on its own. So as you can see, the artwork would be as a reverse. Alright, so as you can see, we've taped them all up. I want to make sure that that entire masking process is back. And for the most part, they're masked. So next we're going to be doing ferric chloride. Ferric chloride, as I said, is a dangerous chemical. You do not want to drink it.
Is it FECL or FECL?
You don't want to put it on your chicken. Because chicken is food and you don't.
I didn't want to etch.
Yeah, it's going to be a short enough time. So, ferric chloride stains everything. Absolutely everything. You do not want it on your skin, you don't want it on anything. So, you're going to wear gloves, but the same person burn yourself.
Goggles.
You could use goggles. So, when you're pouring your ferric chloride, what you're going to do is you're going to pour just enough to completely cover the surface. Now, when everybody comes and gathers around and looks at this at some point, you're going to notice that it's a medium golden brown. That brown is going to turn black real quick. And as I'm going to move this around, you're going to see that there's going to be these swaths of black that just start moving about, swirling through the water. That is the copper being sucked out of the brass. So we're going to see that in just a second.
Is it going to like condensate and like crystals of this copper?
No, it's going to stay suspended in the liquid, but the liquid itself is going to get darker and darker and darker until it's not able to function around. So when I first did this process, I was told to agitate, because as the copper comes away from the brass, it needs to be moved away, exposing more of the brass and more of the copper to come out. I've heard that works. When I first did it, I was doing this and this. Well, no, I was careful to make sure it didn't splash, but this for 30 minutes, it's really tiring. That's another method that I've not found that it's done much more than agitating. However, what I found, Galen, can you reach in that bin and grab the two cans? What I found when I went over to Helgi's house and I told him what all had to be done, he said, well, why don't you just put a pen underneath and rock it like this? But I can't see the candlesticks. Yeah.
Elegant simplicity.
So what I found, since I happen to have candles handy, is that a large taper candle like this is the perfect size to keep this rocking back and forth to make sure that the liquid stays in motion. Anyone have any questions before I start this?
We're not going to go there.
In theory, you can use a washing machine. I've been told works well. An agitation table works all right. I would recommend that there's more of a larger motion because it's moving the copper away. So what I use is a gentle So what I use is a gentle rocking motion to make sure that all the liquid shifts one way or the other. In theory, yes. So here's our ferric chloride. Drink it. And you'll see that is a little round, and it's going to go black here pretty soon. So I'm going to start the sloshing, where you can still see the change. As you can see, the metal itself is already starting to darken, and that's the copper being pulled out of the brass. Tin. Everyone see that? The tin stays behind. It's leaching the copper and putting it into the fluid and leaving the rest of the metal behind. Correct. Now, can someone please look at the time?
Is 7:38.
7:38. So at 8:08, we will stop this back. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the ferric chloride solution. And we're going to come back and we're all going to make our decisions on what we're going to do with the patina. Yes. All right. So let's take a look at this. Here's what happened. We poured it out. We rinsed it until the water ran clear, so we weren't going to be handling any nasty ferric chloride. You see that? You'll see that the metal that was exposed is already starting to oxidize. That's going to happen. That's normal. That's going to come off with polish, unless we patina it first. So, who wants to patina? Hands up. Keep it dark. Huh? Everyone?
Who wants to make
Does anyone not want to patina?
There's all shiny.
Does anybody want it all shiny? You got to speak up now. One? There's always one. Okay, that's one.
And who? All right. Go ahead and pull yours, and leave the other one sticky, please.
Also, behind your fingers, you've already lost one.
No, you can't do that.
All right, you got it. All right. So, Lord, you're going to go ahead and take one of your pads, the acetone. You're going to wipe down that acetone. You're going to show just how shiny it can be. Everybody else is going to watch as I take this wonderful, wonderful stuff, and I'm just going to spray this here, and it's going to immediately start turning stuff really interesting colors. I'm spraying it with an industrial patina I picked up from Industrial Metal Supply. This is really the only thing that you can't get at your local store. There we go.
It can be shiny, it can be shiny.
Alright, so this should be reacting a lot more than it is. Alright, so you see how that's starting to darken there? It should be darkening a lot more, but what can you do? And my concern is that sometimes the acetone will actually react with the patina and will take it away, so it'll be a little splotchy, and I don't want it to be splotchy because you guys have worked so hard on this. So very, very hard on this.
Should we take these off and start cleaning them up?
Well, no, they're already starting to patina, but we want it to be nice and dark. Yeah, just like the shell. Now, I'm using the antique brown patina, which oddly enough works a lot better in making black than the antique black patina. When you apply it, it turns brown, but when you hit it with acetone, it turns it into a dark gray / black, which obviously wasn't the initial intended use for it, but what can you do? Exactly. All right, this is starting to etch, or this is starting to patina down, but it's not being consistent, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this out, re-rinse, and then spray again. I'll be right back. So, you see that's getting a lot darker. It's not going to be the nice dark black that I want, because apparently I'm down to the last effects of this. But it's going to get pretty darn close, and it's going to be a nice dark brown, which is going to contrast nicely with your shiny, shiny thread. So, I'm going to let that sit for a little bit longer.
No.
And that's why you paid $5 instead of $35 in this class.
That's a lot of cakes.
So yeah, we're going to go ahead and let that sit for a little bit longer. Then what's going to happen is we're going to hit that with acetone. We're going to remove all the resist.
Even they split it
And it's going to turn you're going to turn your pad very, very black because you're pulling off all that ink. But it's going to leave everything else really, really shiny. And then when you go home, you're going to want to spray it with a spray lacquer to make sure that the shiny bits don't patina. Clear nail polish will also work.
Clear nail polish if you don't have lacquer.